You're facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine. You're also charged with theft, a Class A misdemeanor where you're facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine.
Law enforcement officer spoke with the complaining witness who stated that on April 2nd, 2025, he parked his truck in his company's parking lot, locked the truck, and when he returned the next day, his tailgate was missing. An employee of the complaining witness searched Facebook Marketplace and found a tailgate that matched the complaining witness's stolen tailgate and had recently been published. The law enforcement officer executed a sting operation to purchase the tailgate from the defendant, the seller, on Facebook Marketplace. He paid the defendant $140 for the tailgate. The defendant was subsequently...
All right, buckle up. This one's wild. We're talking felony hit and run and stolen parts in broad daylight. The defendant is facing charges for failing to stop after hitting public property and for stealing a tailgate. The incident took place on a company lot on April 2nd, 2025, when a man parked his truck. By the next day, the tailgate had mysteriously vanished. Clean, swift, and bold. But it doesn't stop there. One of the company's employees later spotted a familiar-looking tailgate listed on Facebook Marketplace. That's when law enforcement got involved and set up a sting operation. This wasn't just a coincidence, it was criminal commerce in action.
Complaining witness stated the price to replace the tailgate was $1,117.65. The defendant stated he buys the tailgates from a friend for $75 and resells them for typically $300 to $400.
We have him taking the actual tailgate, right?
Yes, Your Honor, that's what it says. Well, it has him as the seller of the tailgate.
Yeah, I didn't take the Your Honor.
Stop. Don't say anything. You have the right to remain silent. Exercise that right.
Yes, Your Honor, it has him as the seller and that it was recently published 2 hours ago on Facebook Marketplace. But those are the facts as far as the dim summary goes.
It says here that this defendant did then and there unlawfully appropriate by acquiring or otherwise exercising control over property, namely a tailgate.
Let's dive headfirst into the hustle. Undercover cops set the trap, posing as buyers and baiting the Facebook seller with a $140 cash exchange. Boom, arrest made. And the seller? He's the very same man now facing trial. Turns out, the stolen tailgate was worth over $100. But it gets even more interesting. He admitted to buying tailgates for just $75 from a so-called friend and flipping them for up to $400. On the surface, it might look like a business, but it reeks of a scheme. This isn't about guesswork. When you're caught selling a stolen tailgate, you're already knee-deep in the mud, whether you like it or not.
By Jonathan Smith. Did he take the actual tailgate?
Your Honor, there are no facts alleged in the DIMS that he knowingly took the actual tailgate. However, the tailgate was in his possession and under his control.
Sure.
And he was the seller on Facebook Marketplace. There's no information in the DIMS, though, that represents that he was the actual individual that stole the tailgate. In fact, when the officers interview him, he says that a friend, he buys the tailgates from a friend and then resells them on Facebook Marketplace.
Are we to assume that he knows that they're stolen?
No sugarcoating here. The defendant's defense is simple. I didn't take it. But here's the thing. You don't have to physically rip it off yourself to be guilty of theft. He had the stolen tailgate. He sold it. That's control. That's appropriation. And the kicker? The Facebook Marketplace post went up just 2 hours before the sting operation. Coincidence? Highly doubtful. All law enforcement needed was proof he knew it was stolen. And guess what? He allegedly told officers he did. Faux. Over. Probable cause confirmed. The judge isn't playing and neither is the law. In this world, you're either in the game or you're the game.
Charge of theft, right? It's a specific intent crime. So if he's selling stolen property, somehow there has to be evidence that he knows that it's stolen. How do we know that he knows it's stolen? We don't operate on hunches.
Your Honor, there is also an allegation, or it's alleged in the DIMS that the defendant told the law enforcement officer that he was aware the tailgate was stolen.
Well, there you go. Okay.
Thank you. It's my apologies.
Mr. Aguilar, I'm going to find that there's sufficient probable cause to go forward in the theft case. What about the failure to stop and give information?
Failure to stop and give
Let's see. We need to do probable cause on that one as well, please.
Round 2. Failure to stop and give information. The same man is now alleged to have slammed into a metal gate at an apartment complex and fled the scene. A witness saw everything, snapping photos of the car, the driver, the passenger, and the license plate. Police ran the plates and boom, same defendant. Officers later found the damaged vehicle parked right in front of his house, the front end crumpled like it had gone head-to-head with a steel wall. When confronted, the defendant claimed he had loaned the car to someone he barely knows. From Instagram. Instagram. That's the kind of excuse that sinks faster than a stolen part on a registry.
An officer was following up on this case in the original report. The defendant's vehicle struck a metal gate at an apartment complex. A witness looked out her window and saw the suspect vehicle and photographed the driver and passenger as they exited the vehicle. Law enforcement officers ran the plates and had the vehicle and owner information. The law enforcement officer later observed the defendant's vehicle in front of the residence. The vehicle had significant damage to the hood. The law enforcement officer made contact with the driver, the defendant. The defendant was ID'd to be the vehicle owner. The defendant stated he loaned his vehicle to an acquaintance he only knows through Instagram. The defendant showed the law enforcement officer the man's Instagram named Go Get a Veil.
Here's the twist. The defendant shows officers an Instagram account named Go Get a Veil, claiming that this so-called mystery driver borrowed his car to pick up a girl. No real name, no details, no follow-up. Officers waited, but the mystery man never reached out. Just silence. Then everything changed. An officer reviewed body cam footage and compared it to the witness photos. Same guy, same face. The defendant hadn't loaned the car. He was the driver. With that, the case tightened. The evidence piled up, and the damage to the apartment complex stood at $2,000. What began as a denial quickly spiraled into an avalanche of bad decisions coming down hard.
The defendant claimed that this man needed to borrow the car to pick up a girl. The defendant stated he would obtain the man's real name and provide it to the law enforcement officer by the end of the day. The law enforcement officer was not contacted by the defendant again. The law enforcement officer took a still shot on his body-worn camera of the defendant during the conversation. The law enforcement officer later compared the photos and saw the defendant was the same as the photo from the reportee. The law enforcement officer attempted to contact the defendant and could not. The apartment complex's estimated damages are $2,000.
Got it. Mr. Aguilar, I'm going to find that there's sufficient probable cause to go forward on both of your cases. Can you tell me if he has a license to drive, please? Texas driver license.
Now it gets real. The judge lays it down, no room for misinterpretation. Blink the wrong way and your bond is gone. He makes it crystal clear. This case isn't just about property damage and stolen parts. It's about being a danger to the community. If the defendant slips up again, new charges, contacting witnesses, driving without a license or insurance, it's over. He'll be behind bars so fast his hair will fall out. This is Texas justice, and it doesn't play. You don't get to wreck property, flip stolen goods, and walk away whistling.
Don't. I know that you are itching to say stuff. Don't. You have the right to remain silent. Exercise. I've got a bunch of DAs here. Whatever you say, they're going to use it against you. So just now's not the time to fight your case. You will have the opportunity to fight it. Just now's not the time. I want you to understand, Mr. Aguilar, I will do everything in my power to protect my city at all costs, including property. And if I find that you're a danger to my city, I'm going to lock you up and I'm going to make your bond so high, you'll have hair falling out.
Yes,
do
Your
you
Honor.
understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Tell Your Honor.
Tell me what time of night was, do we know the theft of the tailgate? Was it in the middle of the night?
So it was reported around 5 p.m. That's the only information.
Reality check time. The judge isn't here for fairy tales. He lays it out straight for the defendant. No more contact with the victim, no driving without insurance, and absolutely no new charges. Violate any of that, and the bond could jump to $15,000. If he can't pay, he's stuck like Chuck. And it's not just jail. It's time frozen. A case dragging on and life put completely on pause. This is criminal roulette, and if you're playing, you'd better have backup. Because this court, it's locked, loaded, and ready to enforce. Every second counts. Every word matters. And every lie gets buried beneath truth and evidence.
I'm ordering you as a condition of your bond not to pick up any new cases, not to have any contact with the complaining witness in the theft case, not to go within 200 feet of where they live or where they work. Do not pick up any new cases. You are not allowed to drive unless you have a valid Texas driver license and liability insurance in your name, and that is also a bond condition. If I find that you're driving without car insurance, likewise, you will go to jail. That's it. If I end up revoking your bonds for one thing or the other, they're probably going to end up around 10, maybe 15,000. And if you don't have anyone to pony up that kind of money, you will be stuck like Chuck in there until this case is over. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Do you have the ability to hire a lawyer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we are going to give you time to hire a lawyer. So I will have you go to Victoria, sign a reset. After that, I'm going to have you take a seat in the jury box while we get your bond conditions. We'll have you sign it. After that, you'll be free to go. Just don't be a danger in my city. Do you understand me?
Final warning delivered. The judge grants the defendant time to hire a lawyer, but makes it clear this grace period isn't for scheming or running. Don't be a danger to my city, he says, his tone cold and unwavering. And that's the final shot. Not every criminal gets this close a look, but when you mix reckless behavior with digital marketplaces and flimsy lies about strangers from Instagram, you're not just living dangerously, you're daring justice to strike. So here's your wake-up call. This isn't just a courtroom drama, it's the real cost of playing dirty in the digital age.